Hello everybody and welcome to the channel, Blast and Burn Rants. I'm Lady Explosion.
And I am Inferno.
Today, we're going to be ranting. And the subject?
Is Horikoshi a misogynist?
Let's get started.
Alright, let's get into this. Let's start with the definition of misogyny. Dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against women.
Yeah, exactly. So now I have a question. Where does this definition match up with Horikoshi? Well, let's talk about some of the things a misogynist wouldn't do.
A misogynist wouldn't create any strong women. Characters, not like giving birth to strong women.
Yeah, that's an important thing to state.
Why did you put two?
I didn't mean to! That was an accident!
Put women in any position of authority.
Giving them the ability to compete with men equally, and even sharing spots in a top 10 list. Allowing women anywhere outside of the traditional roles. These are things that misogynists would not do. Right?
Yeah, pretty much. And what did Horikoshi do? He did all of them.
Yeah, exactly. So, already, we're starting off on a good foot. Oh, Lord, have mercy, help me. We're starting off on a good foot for Horikoshi. Am I misogynist? I didn't even spell that one right.
No, you didn't.
I know. I didn't know. I was too lazy to look it up. Okay. And really, the fact that in a male-dominated career like pro-heroing in the My Hero world has females in the top 10 list quite literally gives it the opposite of misogyny. On top of that, the fact that shonen is geared more towards a male audience, not to say females can't watch shonen, but that's a whole nother video all in itself.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, women can watch shonen. They just need to know what they're getting into first.
Exactly. I mean, this is the mind of young men, okay? Mm-hmm. And if you don't like it, go back to the kitchen. And I'm a woman, so I can say that. Anyways, I have a few notes from Inferno here on the subject, so let's get into those, shall we?
I have an entire book for you, but we're just going to go over one chapter. Horikoshi has always made it very clear how much he loves and respects women just by looking at the My Hero series. A good example is how we see Bakugo treat Uraraka as an equal at the sports festival. We see a lot of instances like this where, you know, women are viewed just as they would view their male counterparts. Like, there's no division here.
Exactly. And even when someone who wanted to be all like, oh, let that weak girl, don't, have pity on that weak girl, which is a very, I wouldn't say it's a definition of misogyny, but it's a very sexist way to look at a female in that particular way, even though he was trying to do quite the opposite. I mean, and then they shut it down within the series, within Horikoshi's writing.
Yeah, they always do that. Like, anytime someone even makes a somewhat sexist comment, it's shut down and it's seen in a negative light, so it's definitely not being promoted here.
Exactly. And the thing is, like I said before, it's a male-dominated career, and the females are right up there in the top 10.
They are. Like, literally all of them are right up there, and no one's seen as lesser than or a weaker hero just because they're a girl.
So, is Horikoshi a Hold on one second. Let me fix my tongue real quick. Is Horikoshi...
Is Kohei Horikoshi a misogynist? I think not.
But we've still got more evidence to show
that he's not.
Spoiler warnings up ahead, y'all.
Thank you.
If y'all have not read the manga, you might need to skip to the timestamp shown.
Yeah. The war arc is a fantastic example, as we see Mirko taking on Nomu and going after the doctor completely alone. She held her own, seriously kicked butt, and not once do we see her being singled out or her gender being brought into the conversation.
On top of the fact, when we think about the fact that Endeavor, by himself, went against not multiple Nomu, Hai and Nomu, one, okay? And just barely survived, and you have Mirko taking out, like... It's just ridiculous, okay, to even think there's a comparison. Or to think that somehow women are less than the men. Plus, she's the number 5 hero.
I'm just glad that the washing machine isn't above her.
Oh! I literally was like, what the heck are you talking about, washing machine? And then I realized there is that washing machine pro hero, which we all know is just a gag.
He's higher than Ryukyu. Ryukyu?
Ryukyu.
Yeah. He's higher than her.
Yes.
That's some discourse right there. If
Yeah.
you're worried about Horikoshi
Yeah,
being
if
a
you're worried about
misogynist,
that.
worry about that instead. So, also in the war arc, we see that Midnight is in charge of a group, and when she's in trouble, she appoints Momo to take over. Not any male characters, another female character.
And there were plenty of male characters present at the time.
Honestly, the male characters in the war arc, they were mostly useless. It's mostly women doing all the fighting here.
That's true. Except for the ones in the main battle against Shigaraki, obviously. But even they were struggling really hard, and there were multiple men there.
There were like 6 of them there, something like that. There were like 6 men, and they were all struggling.
Yeah, so maybe Horikoshi just hates men.
I mean, that's what it seems like. There's also a strong theme in the war arc of women being in charge in strategy and the fights. We also see Mount Lady personally fighting against Shigaraki's beast bodyguard creature thing whose name escapes me.
I know, Google search is hard, but it's Gigantomachia. You all know this.
Thank you. But Mount Lady was fighting him completely alone, with no one able to help her. Literally, like, everyone was watching. Like, all the male characters were just watching because she was doing everything by herself.
But that's misogyny, you know.
Like, all of the women in My Hero are portrayed as strong, independent women who are equal to male heroes and just as important. If you're saying Horikoshi is misogynist because of how some of the female heroes are dressed, that's when you have to remember you're watching a shonen anime and the entire genre is full of revealing male and female costumes.
I mean, really, let's think about this for a second. Why do we not address the fact that a lot of the males have their attractive sexual aspects very, very much accentuated. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, come on. Let's talk about All Might's ass.
Let's talk about Endeavor's butt.
All Might's butt, you know.
I
Hey, word, how dare I say such a thing?
You know, I have more of a thing for Endeavor's ass. I'm sorry. I more prefer Flame Daddy over All Might.
People would say that you are a internalized misogynist for that quote.
I mean, that's fine with me. But seriously, All Might's costume is just as revealing and just as skin-tight as Mount Lady's, but no one has a problem with All Might's costume because he doesn't have boobs.
Yeah, because boobs are evil. How dare you show them?
I mean, like, literally, like, if we look at the... I just realized I forgot ours and all of the shirtless
So y'all can imagine, okay? Comment below what you think the word is that she said.
If we look at all of the Class 1A costumes, like Kirishima, he's shirtless. Momo has an open front swimsuit with, like, a skirt.
I mean, the big thing here is that we need to think about is that part of it is functionality, okay? Momo, obviously there's a reason for it. I mean, and if you're going to get all fussy about that, then you got to get all fussy about Kirishima. Like, come on. That's just ridiculous. And on top of the fact, we're going to talk about how Bakugo has a deep V-neck. Like, really?
He's got to show off them Baku boobies.
Exactly. There are plenty of Instagram accounts dedicated to Baku boobies that I have unfortunately stumbled across.
There's not an end to this madness.
Exactly.
I mean, the rest of them are fully clothed or wearing skin-tight clothes, which male and female heroes wear equally. Like, it's not one more than the other. It's not like the men are dressed modestly and then the girls are just, like, naked. Like, that's not what's happening here. They're both in very skin-tight clothing.
It's just that women care more about seeing it than men do. Men are just like, you know what, whatever. Other men are sexualized by women, who cares?
The difference comes down to the viewer and how much they're already sexualizing women based solely off anatomy. If you have a problem with Momo's costume, you should also have oh my gosh. If you have a problem with Momo's costume, then you should also have a problem with Kirishima's. The biggest issue with the people complaining about the sexualized image of female heroes in the fandom is that these are the same people writing the not safe for work fanfics about Bakudeku and Kiribaku.
Let's not talk about that. I've been scarred too much by the uncensored versions that have been floating around with no warning. I hate you all.
The amount of times I literally just want a reference to draw and instead I just see, like, Bakugo's penis. It's way too many. Like, this needs to stop.
Yes. And don't tell me all this aged up bullcrap. They were high schoolers to begin with. That's the source material.
They're sexualizing and shipping the male characters, but complaining about the female rep in My Hero and how they're treated and viewed as sex objects when they're doing the same thing to Deku and Bakugo. People also like to argue that Horikoshi is horrible at writing women, that he gives us shallow female characters, when I think his female characters are great.
And we see this all throughout. We see real characters, not these shallow, okay, make them strong because they're in a shonen anime characters and that somehow makes them good female characters. But the whole getting into depth of why female characters in certain animes are good female characters is for another video. We do know that Horikoshi's self-insert is Mineta, and though we can all agree he is indeed a woman-loving perv, he's never implied anything misogynistic. I mean, he loves the female pro heroes.
Oh, he absolutely loves them, and he respects them, which is really important to note. He doesn't put them down.
I mean, respect as in, like, their authority, not necessarily their bodies, but,
I mean, that's an entirely different conversation, but he respects them as people.
Now, I can't say anything for his personal life, but he most certainly does not present a misogynistic attitude in his writing. Spoiler warning ahead if you are not caught up in the manga. There will be a timestamp for when you can skip.
Honestly, I feel like none of this is safe.
Well, there are parts. You guys know. You'll see. Everyone likes to say Stars and Stripes is proof, but my dudes, a character was going to die, male or female. The #1 pro hero in the US was going to die. Horikoshi chose not only to make it a woman, which, hello, but OP as crap. Then he gives a look into her struggles of being a woman in a male-dominated team. Like, come on. He then showed that it was simply her inner struggles, that the men that she was with truly viewed her as one of them and supported her, telling her that they understood, like, hey, nobody can do everything by themselves, and that's why we need each other. Which kind of sounds sappy, but it's really true. And they respected her as a leader.
It really did. And also, really, the pro hero of the US was going to have to die anyway, because the USA has always been seen as such a superpower, and this is always mentioned in anime, too. It's always brought up. And so you're not going to understand the gravity of this situation happening in Japan with Shigaraki, until you see that the pro hero of the USA is dead. That was going to happen no matter what, like you said.
Also, no one would say anything about an OP male character dying. Who cares? That's just a hero. They also say that he creates good female characters to kill them off. This is not true. Let's talk about Mirko. Again. She alone took down all these high-end Nomus and didn't die. She went after the doctor herself. Come on, guys. Really? She's amazing and badass. Come on. What more do you want from a strong female character?
She literally lost an arm and a leg, and half of her gut was bitten out of her body, and she still lived. What do you mean he's just killing off strong female characters?
He's just making them cooler and making you support them more. What the heck? When we call things that aren't misogynistic misogynist, we cheapen the effect of that word. People stop believing in its true meaning, and it leads people to not taking claims seriously or not looking into things that are misogynistic. You are hurting your cause rather than bringing awareness. This blanket term version of the word misogyny is stupid and needs to stop. Just like we don't claim misandry, the hate of, contempt for, or prejudice against men. Yeah, I know, that word does exist. Isn't it a miracle that men also receive hate? When an author writes men stupid, incapable, or with every stereotypical male trope, we need to be less sensitive, okay? As women. I know it's hard because we're women. Okay? I get it. And yes, I can make stereotypical jokes because I'm a woman, okay? Back off. If you want to be equal, you need to accept there can be majorities and minorities of each gender in all types of shows and media.
The point is, Horikoshi has given us some amazing female characters, and through this entire series has only ever shown men and women to be equal to each other. Neither side gets special treatment. No one's better than the other, as it should be. I love all the women in My Hero, except for Hagakure. And I think they're a wonderful example of who people should try to be.
Hagakure is basically useless.
She really is. There's no point to her. But there are also some pointless male characters, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's true. It balances out. But I will say that out of all the female characters in the entire My Hero universe, I find her the most shallow and dislikable. Spoiler!
There's no depth to her. There's no point in her. I was really hoping she was the traitor. But if you want to use Minetta's character as ammo, to prove that apparently Horikoshi is a misogynist, I would like to point out that every anime has a perv, so you need to calm down.
Specifically shonen anime, especially.
Yeah, and also there are a lot of very handsome pervs that we all love and enjoy. No, I shouldn't say enjoy!
Enjoy! Well, I mean, it's not 100% wrong. I will say that looks can take you a long way in the perv standard.
They really do. I quite enjoy Jiraiya.
Yeah. And we can't get into this, okay? That's for another video, so be quiet.
All right.
Anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. Comment below some things that you have to say, and we'll try to answer your questions or even your comments and points that you make.
Also, let's actually have a nice conversation about it. Even if you don't agree, just tell us your opinions. Let's actually have a civil talk about it. Let's just talk to each other like people.
Yeah, I know it's hard, everybody. Calm down. I know when you start talking about this kind of thing, it's going to make everybody pissed off. But I'm ready to piss some people off, personally, even though it's just my opinion.
If we don't agree, it's okay. Just be nice.
Exactly. Be nice.
Thank you for watching. I hope you had fun listening to our voices.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.